Exclusive, Prabowo with Dalton Tanunaka.
He rose to the rank of three-star general, married to the daughter of the country's president. There was talk then of a future presidency. But then came the riots of May 1998 and the downfall of his father-in-law Suharto. And Prabowo Subianto's world came crashing down as well. Now, returned from self-imposed exile, he believes he's the best person to run the country. But can he erase the images that connect him to dark days in Indonesia's history? Hello, I'm Dalton Tanunaka, and we are in the South Jakarta residence of presidential candidate Prabowo Subianto. Sir, thank you very much for your time and allowing us into your residence. First, let's get a quick chronology of where you went after 1998 and how you got back to Indonesia. You were essentially, I guess for lack of a better word, fired by your superior, General Wiranto, who's now also running for president, as you know. Why did you leave Indonesia at that time, and where did you go?
Actually, I went to Jordan. I was on very good terms with, at that time he was still Prince Abdullah, and now he's the King of Jordan, King Abdullah II.
Why did you feel you had to leave?
I felt actually that I needed space and needed some sabbatical. I considered it sabbatical, and I thought that I would be a fall guy for many things, accusations, you know, because it was some sort of succession struggle after Suharto fell from power, and in all these events, you know, in history, succession struggles means that those who are perceived as contenders usually must be eliminated, either physically or character-wise.
So there was real fear on your part of physical safety?
I was a soldier, you know, and fear is everyday part of life, you know, but as a former soldier, I knew the risks were there, and
so it was time to leave and take a break.
Yes, I mean, you know, in military history, when you see the odds are stacked heavily against you, it's wiser a bit to withdraw from the scene and
that's what you did.
Observe what was happening.
And I read that you were forced to leave Jordan, is that correct? And then you went to Germany and Thailand. What happened?
No, I was not forced to leave. No.
But you moved?
No. In fact, I spent only something like 13, 14 months there. Then I returned to Indonesia, actually.
Okay.
Yes.
No stops in Germany and Thailand, or just?
No, just visits, and
okay.
Yeah.
Now, you said you came home 2 years later, and actually, in the last election, you did make a try. I don't know how long, or a serious try for the presidency with the Golkar Party.
I was in the Golkar Party, and I took part in their convention, but then I didn't make it. I went to the final round, you know, the last 5. But I didn't fare well there at that time.
So of course, as we know, Wiranto won the nomination for Golkar.
Yes.
But then you supported your former military classmate, Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono, for the presidency, correct?
Yes.
When did your support for him end, and why?
Well, basically around 1.5 years ago, actually. Because, you know, after the election of 2004, I was elected as chairman of the Indonesian Farmers Association, our farmers union, you know, basically, and of course I had to represent the interests of Indonesian farmers, and I lobbied very hard on their behalf, you know, for their interests, and I tried to get access to President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono. I did get some access. But then I don't know what happened. There was some sort of cut off in the access. I couldn't get through our recommendations, and then I felt that his government was not addressing the real issues of our economy, and I think that's when the decision was made. Many of my supporters, many of my constituents, especially the Indonesian farmers, the Indonesian Fishermen Association, and I mean, they asked, they came to the conclusion that if we are not involved directly in the decision-making process of a country, then we will always be marginalized. And the Indonesian farmers actually have always gotten a raw deal throughout our history, you know.
And that's why agriculture is a big part of your platform. But
exactly.
You were friends, actually, and colleagues with
Yes,
SPY.
yes.
Why do you think he cut off access? Was he just, I mean, was he purposely doing that, do you think?
I don't know. I was puzzled. Maybe things like this happen in you know, in the top position. You know, what do you call this? There would be an inner circle or some sort of bubble around. I think it happens.
But as you said, you represented a lot of people, so it wasn't...
I was puzzled also.
Yeah.
Coming up, why Prabowo says he should be president, and some surprising supporters in his campaign.
Let me ask you this then. Why is now the time for Prabowo Subianto to be president?
I think I have a clear idea of what to do. I know the problems of Indonesia. I think the fact that I left the army at that time, you know, and then I was forced into the real economy, you know, I had to go into business, and I went into the agriculture business. So I know the agriculture business, and then I was asked to represent the Indonesian farmers. So these past 4 years, I got to know very well the real essence of the Indonesian economy and our problem. And I think because of my hands-on experience and my empirical experience, I think I got a better understanding of the real problems of the Indonesian economy.
You feel closer to the people because of this.
Yes, and a more real understanding. You know, I know all the shenanigans of what the business people have been doing, all the scams, all the you have to be in the real economy to know all these ways. And many of our professors, our ministers, our top leaders, you know, they don't know this because they have not experienced this. This is what I'm telling. It's not that the people in government now are bad people or incompetent. It's not that. It's that, in fact, they are good people who don't know how the real world operates.
So maybe
and I think the American experience is like that, right? You have people like, what's this guy's name? Madoff, right? Who
the financier
who ran away with, what, $50 billion?
Yep.
All those years, you know? How could he fool so many institutions, you know, so long? You know, this is what I'm telling about. Indonesia, if it can happen in the States, it's been happening in Indonesia for all these years.
So maybe if you stayed in the military, you wouldn't have this experience, right?
I would know this.
Okay.
I would not know.
So then, your party, Gerindra, was created to help get you elected, basically, if you continued your role in politics. Now, you've attracted a significant variety of supporters. Yeni Wahid, daughter of former President Abdurrahman Wahid, supports you. I just read Halida Hatta, daughter of Indonesia's co-founding father, Muhammad Hatta, is with you. And you know, actually more than interesting, several kidnapped victims who you've admitted some involvement in their cases are now helping your campaign. Now, we'll talk more about that shortly. What is the basic message of Gerindra, and are these people attracted to that message or to the man?
I think maybe both. But I think our message is a real message. We actually advocate, you know, a more equitable economic strategy and economic policy. What we are saying is actually what many American leaders, European leaders have found out, that this unregulated free market, you know, laissez-faire capitalist system brings many times, what do you call it, suffering to the little people. I think this is what your President Obama has discovered and is trying to carry out. You know, a U-turn or a redirection of government policies towards so-called free market or laissez-faire capitalism. So this is what our argument is. Our argument is that throughout our 63 years of independence, now it's coming on to the 64th year of independence, there's no real, first, there is no real accumulation of national wealth. That's what we found out. I have the figures, I have the statistics, I have all the, the data to prove this. Number two, we've been trapped into a low growth trap, and the quality of the growth is also very, very bad. The disparity between the rich and the poor is amazing. So what we are saying is, this present system has not brought wealth to the Indonesian people. It's only brought wealth to a few Indonesians. Perhaps if you really calculate, maybe there are only 300 families in Indonesia who really enjoy real wealth. The others are just on the margin, eking out an existence, the vast majority of our people.
So you want to lift everyone higher.
What I'm saying is this is very dangerous. I always quote John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy, in his inaugural address, he said, if a free society cannot help the many who are poor, it cannot save the few who are rich. I'm just saying, because my family, I think, is part of the 300 families on top of the pyramid in Indonesia.
And we'll get to that.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, look, I don't need to go into this politics. I can just go, my hobby is riding horses and polo. I can just go ride horses somewhere in Argentina or something, But what I'm saying is, as a patriot, we see that this cannot be sustainable. That you cannot have a few who are at the top enjoying, vast wealth, and the majority of people still difficult to carry out the, basic existence.
Back to the question was, all these people are being attracted to this message. Now, many people have said these kind of messages before. We have to help the poor, we have to do, but maybe you're being modest, but they must be attracted to the man saying these things.
Well, I think so. I hope so. But I don't want to overrate myself. I think that they see, number one is, with our party, there's some sort of idealism in our party, There's some sort of idealism. I mean, many of these people come from very different backgrounds. And I think they see that we are some sort of big tent that we accommodate, And we are also, we believe in, pluralism. How do I pronounce it? My English is getting rusty.
You said it right. Pluralism.
Pluralism.
Yeah, that's a hard word to say.
Sorry, yes. Pluralism. I just came from so many hours of campaigning.
No, I know, it's a tough trail.
And we respect all races, all religions, all ethnic groups. We have hundreds of ethnic groups in Indonesia, and I think people see that we are a big tent, that they can come in and they like our message, they like our platform, they like our inclusiveness,
And that's why you're attracting so many people. I got one more question before we take a break. Would you at all consider running as somebody's vice president if the top spot looked impossible for you at this time?
Number one, I don't think the top spot looks impossible. Number two, I'm bringing a program of change. That's my mandate from my party and my constituents. I'm not looking for a job. I want to make this clear. I'm very, very happy with the quality of life I'm having now. I'm not looking for a job. If I cannot carry out what I have advocated in front of many millions of Indonesians, then what's the use of me accepting a job,
Okay, let's take a break now. When we continue, confronting the issues that define him. What was the general's role in the May 98 riots? And was he ready to topple the new Habibie government? That's next. I'm Dalton Tanonaka, talking with presidential candidate Prabowo Subianto in his South Jakarta residence. Sir, let's get right to the heart of the challenge that you face in winning this election. Let's start with May 22nd, 1998. A book just out by another former general recalls the day when you went to see the new President Habibie. You're familiar with the book.
I've read the book.
Okay, but you've heard what it's about. Was this a coup attempt, as the book suggests, when you went to see the newly installed President Habibie?
If I wanted to carry out a coup, would I come alone to the presidential palace? I mean, you know, what coup d'etat in history of mankind is the leader of the coup coming alone to the palace?
You didn't have some of your men surrounding the office along with the other men of General Wirantos? No.
No. I mean, I came to the palace, I think, with two jeeps. But one is my own jeep, and one is my security detail, you know. And that's number one. Number two, I was commanding at that time 34 battalions of our Army Strategic Reserve. And I mean, you can ask all observers or all those who were in Jakarta at that time. I mean, I think there were no other force that had you know, any chance of combating me had I wanted to.
So you're saying if you wanted to have a coup, you would have done it?
Come on, commanding 34 battalions, that's the equivalent of three. And I think 3/4 of all the Indonesian armed forces were with me. They were all my friends, commanding Air Force squadrons, commanding the Marine Corps commander. You know, our Marine Corps commander at that time, from the Navy, he is now my campaign director, my national campaign director. I mean, that's how close we are. After so many years, he's still close to me.
Okay, now at that point, you knew your military career was kind of coming to an end. You saw the signs, and you saw how President Habibie was reacting to you.
Yeah, so I came there because I was very close to Habibie at that time. And he always said, you know, Prabowo, if you have anything, any doubt, or you want, you know, you want to ask questions direct to me, please come to me. So I came there, actually, informally, to ask him, you know, what's your decision?
And they asked you to remove your pistol. Was that a...
You know, that...
What is that story?
You know, the story, you know, it's Indonesian regulations, Indonesian Army regulations. You know, if you are going to meet your superior, you know, a sergeant coming in to meet his company commander would open his pistol belt. Even without a pistol, he would open his pistol belt. That's our standard operating procedure, is regulations.
Because the implication was they're afraid you might use it, right? That was the...
Yeah, of course, yeah, that's what they say. I mean, I think they were paranoid, or you know, maybe they had hallucinations or something.
So you went there, and why didn't you? Why didn't you take over or attempt to...
Exactly, it never even occurred to me to want to take over power through unconstitutional means. I mean, and then I was educated as a Democrat. I was, you know, I'm by conviction, you know, not by circumstance or by forced circumstance. I do believe in democracy. I believe democracy is the only system that can be used in the modern world. You know, what other system is there? You know, monarchy doesn't work. You know. Oligarchies are unjust. It will result in revolution, dictatorship. You know, you can't control 220 million people. You know, 24 hours a day. You know, I mean, so the only viable system is my conviction. So, and I swore an oath as an officer since my youngest days, to uphold the Constitution. How can I? And that's what I've been teaching my soldiers. For, you know, when I was a lieutenant, captain, all throughout my career, I've been teaching my soldiers, we have to uphold the Constitution. We have to defend the Constitution. And here I am, had I wanted to carry out coup d'etat, I would be violating the Constitution. I'll be violating the things that I've been teaching my soldiers, you know. I was concerned that whatever happened, the Indonesian army, number one, must not be split. That's my conviction. It was, I believe the Indonesian Armed Forces is an institution that can hold the country together in times of crisis. And our history has, I think, proven that.
Did they give you the 2 weeks?
No. He said, no, I want you to step down today. So I said, well, if that's your decision, sir, I'll carry it out. And I stepped down without, without any resistance, without any dissenting speech. I just went back to the army chief. I said, okay, sir, I've talked to the president. I've verified, yes, it's his decision. He wants me to step down. Okay, I'll step down. I just want 1 hour. Give me 1 hour to clear my desk. And then...
So you were a good soldier when you did that?
I think so.
Because if you really were, as critics say, a bad guy, you could have created a lot of problems, right?
I think so. 34 battalions and, come on. You see what happened in Pakistan?
Of course.
When General Musharraf was fired, by the Prime Minister, he took over. What happened in Thailand? General Sonti. He was fired by Thaksin and he took over. And many of my friends, the generals from other countries who knew me, they said, Prabowo, you're a stupid guy. You should have taken over, he said. For the sake of your country and your people. Sometimes you think about,
sometimes you think about, should I have done that?
When exclusive Prabowo continues, the charges of human rights abuses, were the kidnappings justified, and was alleged torture under his order?
Exclusive, Prabowo with Dalton Tanunaka.
Let's go back a little bit. The kidnappings. You've admitted, I've read, to involvement in the detention of activists and students in the course of your job as chief of the elite special forces, Kopassus, prior to Suharto's fall. Why was that necessary?
Well, under different administrations, different policies are being carried out, or were being carried out. I think it happens in all countries. So at that time, our overriding concern was stability. Stability, and the fear was if there are destabilizing factors, we could disintegrate very fast, because we are a country of so diverse elements, so many races, so many religions, and this was in the 90s, and I think that was the overriding concern of the Suharto administration.
So you pulled people in, questioned them? Did you?
Yeah, so basically, under one administration, it could be considered preventive detention, right? And in one aspect, actually, we did prevent some of these activists. They were assembling bombs, So, and actually, perhaps in a different circumstance, we would be heroes. I would have got a medal or something, because my soldiers, our conscience is very clear. We prevented bombings. We considered that we prevented bombings and arson, But on the other side,
it's against the Constitution, isn't it?
Exactly.
So you were talking about earlier about
honoring
the
What do you mean?
illegal detention or
no, and under the Suharto regime, the president had extraordinary powers given by our National People's Assembly.
Okay. So you were allowed to do it.
There was emergency power. But when Suharto fell, of course, a new regime was there. What was perhaps considered legal in a former administration, all of a sudden becomes illegal. And I had to be eliminated from the scene. And
why?
I think they were afraid of me, because I think I was very... I had strong...
What you would do or what you would say?
What I would do, I had strong support from the combat units. Okay. I was a combat officer. I never spent time behind a desk. My whole career was in the field. I was on operations most of the time,
Were victims ever tortured?
I don't know. I don't know. Some of them.
You've never ordered the torture?
I never ordered the torture at all. Completely against my policy. And I think they do realize that I never ordered the so-called kidnapping, the detention. But once again, I had to take responsibility. That is the duty of a commander. I refused to have my soldiers, my officers, take the fall, and I faced the tribunal. I answered, because I think it was a political decision to get rid of me, actually. And I am an amateur historian. I do study military history. I realize, that was what happened.
Somebody had to take the fall.
Somebody had to take the fall. Somebody had to be the scapegoat. And
then I've heard.
But then the other way, on the other side is, now these guys are fighting for me. I always answer to some of these, foreigners or Westerners who ask. I said, put this in another context. Do you think somebody who came out of Abu Ghraib would ever campaign for the American government? Or somebody who got out of Guantanamo Bay would ever campaign or, would ever defend or ever fight for the American government? Put it in that context. But these guys...
You have two guys who...
three guys, yeah. And...
former kidnapped victims or in detention,
yes,
and now they're campaigning with you.
They're campaigning for me.
Okay.
They're trying to fight to make me president.
Because they believed what you did at the time was necessary.
No, I think they realized that I was not responsible. I was not and I think they knew that I actually maybe, in the end, I saved them, I think.
From others?
From others, yes.
Coming up next, did Lieutenant General Prabowo give the orders that sparked the violence against the Chinese?
The violence against the Chinese in May '98. Were your forces involved at all, with or without your orders?
Completely no. Completely no. It's ridiculous, those accusations. In Indonesia, any riots, any violence in the streets that involves mobs, involves mass, will turn out to be either racial or religious or ethnic.
Or economic.
Or economic. This is for instance, the Chinese are perceived as the wealthier class.
The business people, the business leaders.
Whereas actually it's not really true. We have many Chinese who are poor. We have many Chinese who are farmers. Do you know, it's ironically, I've been accused of being, behind these anti-Chinese riots, but now, Gerindra, we have a lot of Chinese members. Why? Because they know we are a party of the farmers. We have a lot of Chinese farmers in our party, thousands and thousands of them, and...
so you did not...
We have Chinese candidates, it's...
You didn't stir up the violence against the Chinese to hasten the downfall of the government?
Why would I do that? I was part of the government. I was the son-in-law of the president. I was a 3-star general at the age of 47. I just maybe had to wait my time to get my 4th star. What interest would it be for me to destabilize? If Suharto fall, I would be gone. When the Shah of Iran left, his whole family gone, and all the generals supporting him were gone. In fact, there was the American defense attaché at that time. Maybe he wanted to protect me, or maybe he wanted to, I don't know, maybe he wanted to frighten me, I don't know. But he said, he told me, do you know, General, when the Shah of Iran fell, a lot of his generals were shot. They were brought to the wall and shot.
Sir, people might be listening and say, of course, he's going to deny, or any candidate would deny any involvement in any crimes against the public because they want to win the election. Why should voters believe what you're saying?
Well, put it the other way around. Why am I getting a lot of support now? Why don't you come with me on my campaign trail? You can check all the correspondence. Who has been drawing the biggest crowds up to now? You know, when I take my leave from the crowds, they refuse to let me go. They say, no, go on, go on. And I said, no, I've lost my voice.
Sir, can you tell us now then a name who was mainly responsible for the events of May 1998?
I have my beliefs, my conviction, but you know, in this type of things, can I prove in a court of law beyond a reasonable doubt? You know, it's difficult. So if I mention a name or names, you know, I can be sued, and then if I cannot prove beyond a reasonable doubt, it's going to backfire on me. I think.
I understand, but you know who did it. You know who.
I have strong. What do you call it? Beliefs, but it's my belief. It's my conviction. It's my assessment. It's my analysis. Can I go to court of law and convince the court? You know, but I think, you know, history, in the end, will be the true judge. And I think when you add everything up, you know, there will be historians and analysts who will come to judgment. You know, like I said, I mean, what's the logic? I was part of the establishment. It was in my what do you call it? It was in my interest to keep everything smooth. Why should I create riots? You know, and why you know, and then why should I create riots against the Chinese? The Chinese are the trading class. They are the business class. If they are frightened, they will run away with all their money. Our economy will collapse. You know, and who will profit from a collapse in our economy? You know, so the logic was not there. And more important is, history is my judge, that I could have taken over. Nobody could have stopped me, but I did not. I stepped down without even dissenting protest.
Without firing a shot.
Without firing a shot. You know, on one hand, they could accuse me of burning the capital city, creating riots, and then when I was told to step down, I stepped down.
That doesn't make sense if you think about that.
Huh?
That doesn't make sense if you think about it.
Now I form a party. I'm running for president. I'm asking for a mandate, you know, for the people, because I do believe in democracy, you know. And if you believe in something, you must give an example, you know. I have to give an example that I am convinced. Even now, many people are asking me, you are chairman of the Farmers Association. You know, theoretically, you can bring, what, 200,000 farmers to Jakarta? 300,000 farmers. I'm also chairman of the Indonesian Small Traders Association. They're in the traditional markets, you know. I mean, I can call a national strike. I can call a national strike next week. Maybe I can close all the markets of Indonesia down. You know, I mean, but no, I said no, I don't want to do actions that are extra-constitutional. Unless we are forced. I mean, you heard there are indications a few days ago, I think it's coming out in the Indonesian press, there's indications of systematic, there's an attempt at systematic cheating. You know, and if this goes on in our election, I think this is very, very dangerous for the future of democracy.
You're talking about the situation in East Java. Sir, last point before we take a break. You've never been brought up on any criminal charges for any case, correct?
Right.
But you've been refused a visa, a small housekeeping thing I want to ask you. You've been refused a visa for entry into the United States. How would you take care of that if you became president?
I mean, I think it's not my decision, right? I mean, if I'm elected by the Indonesian people, I think the U.S. government will have to make their decision. You know, I mean, I answered the same question in front of some other foreign correspondents. I said, you know, I can always send my vice president to the United States.
Okay. Where do we continue? A look at the personal side of Prabowo Subianto and the influences that shaped his life. My conversation with Garinja's Prabowo Subianto continues now. Sir, people want to know a little bit about the man and his personal life a little bit. And forgive me if I get too personal, but I want to ask you, because it was a famous and high-profile marriage, when and why did your marriage to Titi Suharto end?
I think it was, what, 5-6 years ago? Yeah, I think after I left for Jordan, I think, yeah. You know, it was personal reasons, you know, some marriages last, some marriages break down.
How are you with the Suhartos today?
I think better. Yeah, at one time, I think they considered me some sort of. I think at one time I was accused of being a traitor to the family.
I mean, I read accounts where at a family meeting somebody came up to you and like stuck a finger in your face and said, never step foot in my house again. Was that true?
Yeah, it was true actually. Yes. But you know, that's why one of the reasons why I do believe in democracy, you know, and freedom of the press, because in an authoritarian regime, you know, palace intrigues and rumors can make perception seem real. You know, there are always people who are whispering, you know, in the ears of the people around the great leader. You know, and I think that this is the weakness of an authoritarian closed.
And that's what happened then, you think?
I think so. I think there was you know, intrigues, and so I was accused of being not loyal to you know, President Suharto. I don't know what they expected me.
And you were still married to a daughter.
Yes. So maybe they expected me to I don't know. I don't understand. Maybe they did believe that I was behind, perhaps the riots, or you know, trying to bring down the father-in-law. You know, because in the history of our monarchies, it's very often that the son-in-law, you know, carries out coups d'etats against the father, the king.
A power grab.
In fact, the Sultan of Banten is a famous kingdom in Indonesia, very famous, very long and strong sultanate. The son, in fact, arrested the king, and then handed the king to the, I think it was the British or the Dutch at the time.
But you said earlier you had no intention of doing that. Now you have a son, Didi, who lives abroad, I understand. Will he be involved in the campaign at all? Has he helped you?
No, he's not too involved, no. He's not too interested in politics.
Not in politics, huh?
No.
Sir, who is your Indonesian political role model?
My Indonesian political role model? I don't have one, actually. I have maybe a combination.
Like who?
I think combination of Sukarno and Hatta, you know.
The founding fathers of
the founding generation. One is charismatic, man of the people.
Sukarno.
Sukarno, you know, relates to the common man, and the other is the intellectual administrator, you know, the manager who is cool, more rational, less charismatic perhaps, but still both are patriots.
So like the CEO,
both were patriots.
The CEO and the COO, the operating officer.
Yes, both were very patriotic, you know, and both were very you know, pro-poor, and because they experienced colonialism, they experienced imperialism, and they experienced the 30s when the capital system collapsed, you know, in the 1929 crash. So they saw the suffering of the people at that time. So
you're using images and slogans of Barack Obama in some of your campaign advertising. What's the point of that besides tying to a winner?
You know, Obama went to school in Indonesia, you know, and I think he had also an Indonesian stepfather. So many Indonesians are very proud of that fact.
You never played with him in the car?
No, I don't.
Okay. But you like his mantra and his slogan of change. That's what your slimmer campaign
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I mean,
Okay. Now, there was a much publicized meeting this week between you and former President Megawati Sukarno-Putri.
Yes, yes,
what was that about?
I'm on good relations with her, you know, and I respect her. And
you got any deals with her? Or?
No. We were talking about this indications of systematic cheating. In fact, we are very concerned. You know, we are very, very concerned. If this is not really addressed very soon, I don't know if you can have a free and fair election.
Really, it's that serious?
It's very, very serious.
You mentioned this earlier. You're a wealthy man from business investments with your brother. You open yourself up when you run for office to daily attacks from all sides. Why do you need all this?
I think it's sense of duty to my people. Yeah. I think as an Indonesian patriot, if we see our country in difficulties, and I do see my country in a very bad state now, you know, and the stakes are very high. I don't want to see Indonesia break up. I think the alternative, if we don't get our act together, if we don't clean up our act, if we don't bring economic prosperity very fast to our people, I think the alternative is very, very, you know, it's a nightmare. I mean, it's scary. You know, you have 200 million people, 100 million who are poor, hungry. You know, you can see the radicals coming in, you can see demagogues, and then you can see religious strife, ethnic strife, civil war. It is scary. I don't want this. I think it's my duty now to provide an alternative. I'm giving a message of hope. I'm telling my people we are rich. It's just the, you know, the incompetence, mismanagement of our elite. If we get our act together, I'm sure we can you know, get back. You know, and I mean, the Koreans don't have natural resources. The Japanese don't have natural resources. The Taiwanese don't have natural resources. You know, we have abundance of natural resources. There's no way we cannot get you know, on our feet.
Final thought, sir. There are always two sides of a story. You know that. What does the public need to know about you that's never told?
I don't know. I think I've been the most scrutinized and, you know, talked about. You know, I think one of the figures. I think now they're realizing that exactly what you said. I mean, I'm not in this game. I don't consider politics a game. I don't consider my running for office. I consider it, what do you call it? Noblesse oblige, the French would call it, you know. It's an obligation for me. I have the capacity. I'm financially independent. God has given me a lot of, you know, advantages. So I think I have to now work for my people, if they want me to work. If not, then I'll go back to my farm, I'll go back to my horses and my goats.
Prabowo Subianto, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And that's our program. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Please join us again next time.